Come on, girls, come here. Oops.
Hello.
Hi there. You all right?
Yes, not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, good. Just a bit excited at the moment. So.
Is Jan just come in?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Just full of life. Yeah, they're all right. Are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. So how's your week been?
Busy. But with these two, it's been mixed. I mean, it's some stuff's working really well. I think the definitely the walking's a bit better. It's tons better. They're walking close. I took them out earlier this afternoon, and they just spent most of the time walking next to me. So took them to the park. They barked a few times at other dogs. They seem to go through phases. Lots of other dogs. Sometimes at people, but I think that's more when people just appear.
Okay.
And then this week, just trying to get them to sit on the mat, which they're saying that they're doing quite a lot in the evenings, aren't they? Now they'll just go and sit there. Things like when they're waiting for the food, they'll go and sit on their mat. Yeah, they're just going. They're just going to sit on the mat, and they're quite happy there.
Good.
So that's quite nice. They're not always hassling for food.
Yeah.
Olive will always eat it, but they will sit and wait patiently.
That's good. That's the result that we're looking for. We're looking for that they're happy to go and take themselves over to their mats. So that it gives us a little bit of peace and quiet away from them as well, because we don't always want them constantly on us.
Yeah, we're trying to get them to a stage where when we eat, we don't. We try to get them on the mat all the time now, and I think that's been better this week. And so they're getting there slowly with that.
Yeah.
But I think they do find that they are. They don't like being left alone anywhere at the moment.
Okay.
Little shadows.
Which is fine, because always one of us around. But it's something we're going to have to work on, I think, over the next few weeks anyway. Sort of separation, leaving them just for a short period of time, because it'll happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So with their setup in both houses, if there's somewhere safe that they can both be left, so somewhere that they're not going to chew up if they decide to.
Yes, there is, particularly here. And one of the things we're trying sort of a bit different this time, because they're little igloos that they feel safe in. They're now starting to grow out of those. They're getting a bit big. So we just got a bigger. It's not a cage. It's more of a sort of fabric.
Like a travel cot
type things for the dog. So if we do, so if we travel elsewhere, at least they've got somewhere they recognise. And we've been trying that out this week. And if it works here, which it seems to be, we'll get another one so it's the same at both houses.
Yeah.
That's the only snag. It's double the cost.
Absolutely, yeah. Double the food, double the vet bills, double the bedding, double the treats.
Yeah. So they're not too bad. I know we're not sort of just changing subject a little bit, but I have one question about food and size of the dogs, because at the moment Olive is just like a Dyson Hoover. She'll just eat anything. Lola's eating, but she's still quite a bit lighter than Olive, and it's not as and she's all got food there, and she'll eat the breakfast, she'll eat lunch.
You have to encourage her to eat. She just doesn't go.
Yeah, and she's
got a very different approach from Lola. She'll look at it and then walk away, and then go and sit on a mat. And then sometimes you have to take the food to her, then she'll eat it.
Yeah,
it's a bit odd, really. I don't know whether she's just frightened of Olive, taking her food away, or what. I don't know.
I'm just a little bit worried that she's a little bit on the light side, but
okay. I mean, she does look really healthy. In terms of she's not got any kind of excess padding anywhere.
Yeah. But she seems fine. I think it's just we're just conscious in the early months they're supposed to eat well.
Yeah. I mean, what we have to remember is that not every food suits every dog. So there isn't an across the board, this food is the best food for Dachshunds. This isn't, one food may suit one and one food may suit another. So sometimes it is a bit of trial and error. So it may be that the food that they're on, they may just need a little bit more. I mean, with Lola, hang on, let me just get them right way around.
Oh,
black and tan is the Lola.
With Olive, I mean, you can see that she's noticeably bigger.
Yeah.
And it may be that because she is a hoover for everything, that may be why she's carrying a little bit more on her. What we tend to look for is that they've got a very distinct waist. So if you look at Lola, if you get Lola just to get a treat,
she's a
really defined waist. She really tucks in at her ribs as well. So underneath her ribs, they tucks into her tummy there, whereas Olive is kind of sausage-like. Okay, so it may be that Olive's eating a little bit too much, and that's why she's got that more cylindrical sort of shape.
See there, she'll just go straight after the treats, try and steal it from Lola, whereas Lola will rarely steal it from Olive.
Yeah, and
will literally steal them food from Lola's mouth. She'll be there into her mouth trying to get it out.
Okay.
It's a nightmare. You have to separate them and sit with each one to make sure that Olive doesn't eat hers and Lola's.
What about feeding them like separately in terms of do they get fed in the kitchen?
Yeah, but we separate them.
And so have one end on the other end.
One maybe in the lounge.
Yeah, and then we'll stay with them to make sure that she doesn't go and steal it.
Yeah, and because obviously you don't want Olive eating all of Lola's food and vice versa. Hand feeding is always a good option. So with their food, using their food as rewards throughout the day.
I had to do that with Lola with the chicken at lunchtime.
Yeah.
And that way you know exactly how much they're both eating.
Yeah.
And like I say, it may be that Olive is a little bit more chunky because of the food that she's on. So puppy food is full of fats, really. So it's full of the goodness that they need. So that's why as soon as they kind of hit adolescence, that's when we try and transition them off to get them onto a less fat diet, really. Because in the end, I don't mean fat as in bad fats, but to build them up. So there's a lot more goodness in the puppy foods, and likewise with the senior foods as well. So if you compare what they're on, and it may just be that she's getting a bit chunky because she's eating stuff that she's not processing and it's being stored.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, see then they both love cheese. I mean, they'd eat cheese at any time.
Yeah.
Nightmare. They can smell it a mile off.
Yeah.
But that's treats only.
So what about swapping some of their treats? What about swapping some of the shop bought treats for things like pieces of apple, pieces of carrot?
Yeah, to get that
broccoli,
as well.
peas, things that I know.
They do like their carrot and pear and apple.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I try weigh their food so they're having more or less the same, but then try and watch what they do. And when they have food left over, I'll put that into their little snuffler thing. So they're not having additional; they're having
the same,
but in a different way.
Yeah. So yeah, I think she does look healthy. We're just conscious there's quite a bit of a difference between the two. And I thought I'll just see what you thought.
Yeah, I mean there is a noticeable difference, but I would say out of the two, that Lola is probably the one that looks the more slender in terms of she looks healthy. Neither of them look unhealthy, but I would be mindful of Olive's weight moving forwards, because you don't want her to end up chunky before she's started. But then sometimes they go through a bit of a gangly stage as well, where they're kind of like really almost like a teenage child that goes through that kind of strange in between child and adult stage. So they can look a little bit odd sometimes as well, but yeah, I mean, not all dogs are going to eat exactly the same. She's obviously found something to eat over there.
Yeah, we got some little kibble on there.
Hide little bits of kibble in there.
Good stuff. Okay. So it may just be a case of monitoring. So monitoring like on a weekly basis, just writing down how much they're eating, if they're eating the same amount, and what their weight is as well, so that you can. because sometimes it's not all about the actual weight, if that makes sense. So, you put them on the scales and it gives you a number.
Yeah.
Not necessarily all about that. It's more about their actual body condition. So it's actually about what the shape of them is, opposed to the weight of them.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So with Chip, if she's going to get up, I think she's fast asleep on my lap. Sorry, darling. There you go. She's a bit long, but you can see that, like, in here. So her waist obviously tucks in there.
Yeah.
And then she tucks in there as well.
Cute.
She's not happy about that.
Just go back to sleep. Yeah. Okay.
And it's about the body score. So Chip does fluctuate in weight. So she will go from 4.5 kilos is her kind of normal, and then she'll go up to like 4.8, and it's not massive, but that extra 200 grams, 200 kilos. That extra 200 grams, you can feel it when she jumps on you. You can feel that she's that little bit heavier, and her chest bone. So that should be quite prominent. It should be sticking out quite a bit. And if it's quite fluffed up around it, then you know that they're putting weight on there, and around the bum. So if you think about humans, where they put weight on around the tummy, around the bum, and it's the same for our dogs. So if they've got like fat pads around their bum, they'll have like more of a circular bum rather than a kind of tucked in waist and definition. Okay.
Okay. So I think Olive's just found something. I don't know what she's found.
Okay, I'll let you go and assist Olive.
Certainly, it's certainly not lack of exercise. I mean, she's the one that's always ready to go for a walk.
Yeah, and actually this week, the one difference with the walks is that Lola's wanted to go as well. So we're starting to, instead of having to carry her down the road, we have had some progress on there, because we focused just really a lot on the walking, talking to them all the time.
Good. Did you practice around the garden?
Not here. No, it's not really suitable here, this garden. I tried it because the way the garden's split up. What we've been doing though is taking them out to certain areas within the garden.
Yeah.
For the wheeze and poos, and that seems to be working a lot better. The tons better, haven't they, indoors this week?
Oh yes.
Massively different, and we're sort of just taking it that way with the garden.
Yeah.
But the garden where I am at the moment at mine, it's a long thing. It's an old terrace place, so there's a thin garden at the back, and it's broken up into a few little chunks.
Yeah.
They much prefer the grassy area.
Okay.
So that's been working well, and and they've been going out and been no problems. So
running around like idiots.
Yeah, so they're quite happy there.
Good stuff. Okay.
And like I say, when we go out now, Lola's quite happy just to get the lead on and start walking.
That's really nice to hear.
That's worked well, and I think there's that, and then just focusing on the leave and getting them onto the mat each day. So we've been trying to really just keep it quite focused in the end on that. Trying to be so many things to remember.
Yeah, and there is that tendency that we could end up doing like loads of different things, and actually it's about picking what's going to be suited to your lifestyle. So obviously if it's you walking, then you're going to be wanting to concentrate on getting their focus on you. You're going to be wanting to concentrate on the lead work. You're going to be wanting to reduce that barking down, but actually keeping that focus at the same time. And then with the mat training, I mean, that's going to help in terms of when you're eating your dinners, because it will give them something to do across there. I'm inclined to agree that we can do too much in terms of too many different things. And that's why I don't give you loads to do kind of each session, because I think that if we just have little bits to do, it goes a long way rather than having loads of big stuff to do. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. So any questions from last time? It feels like it was only 2 minutes ago since I last saw you.
I know it's a week. Trying to think. No, I think it was really the big thing I wanted to try and get right was the mat side of it, getting them sorted on there, so that again gives us a bit of peace for dinner, and also just gives them a bit of peace as well. Just although they seem to have got their life together right now, getting a bit lively, and just getting really. I think last week from that was just getting the mat area sorted.
Yeah. And are you happy with their current setup with going to the mats and settling themselves down?
Yeah. that's working fine most of the time, he says.
Yeah, and I would look at introducing some like smaller, thinner mats as well that you can transfer with you. So something that you could put inside your travel crate, your travel cot crate, so that they get used to this blanket goes with them, and something that you can take out as well. So imagine you were going on a picnic. You're not going to want to take a cushion with you out on a picnic. You're going to want to take a thin mat of some description with you. Okay?
Yeah, we've actually got a couple of blankets they're used to, aren't they? The grey ones we need to.
But these just were accidental more than intentional, because we just had them around the house and put them on the floor one day, and they just went and sat on them. We thought, oh, okay. And that's how that came about.
Yeah. No, and that's perfect. At the end of the day, it's what works for them, and sometimes it's about what's comfortable for them as well, because they might not always want to go in a crate. In terms of separation stuff, though, so starting the separation stuff really, really slowly. I know that I mentioned about the getting up and sitting down previously. It may be that when you're working from home that you have these mats, these beds, these, I don't know what you're calling these, close by. So I know that they currently sleep on your desk with you, but when you're not at your desk and you're going to need to go out, they're not going to be able to sleep on your desk.
No. I've actually started to try and move them a little bit further. I've got some drawers nearby, so I tried to move them a little bit further away. And it's lower down. And they were there, and I'll have to try and get that right. Because they're just come in straight away wanting to sit up there now.
Yeah. And there's no issue. Don't get me wrong. You know, Chip's obviously sitting on my lap now, but this is the first time she's been sat here all day. So she's been out of the room most of the day, and this is the first time that she's actually sitting on here. So think about other places that they can sit. So it might be that the beds make it onto the floor. It might be that the beds slowly move out from from where you're sitting to kind of the edge of the room, and then slowly edge them onto, I don't know if you work upstairs or downstairs, but slowly edge them out into a hallway or a landing. Think about where you want them to end up, and think about where you want them to be when you actually leave them. So is that going to be a kitchen? Is that going to be a hallway? Is it going to be a conservatory? Wherever it is, and your aim is to kind of get their bed out to that place. Okay, so it's not in massive steps, but it's over time. Okay, so they're comfortable, you're comfortable, and then you can slowly start moving around and stuff. In an evening, I would be inclined to use your mats where they are currently, leave them there, and then periodically just get up and walk around and sit back down again, and then walk out of the room, go into the other room and come back again. So they realise that actually it's okay, it's fine that you're not moving anywhere, you're not actually going anywhere. Or it may be that you give them something a little longer lasting on the mat, so a little chew or something like that. And when you give them the chew, you then walk around the house and then come and sit back down again. So that
I picked some chews the other day and they're the wrong sort. I can't remember what they were, but they just said not for puppet, but adult ones. So
okay. And it could just be something healthy. It could just be, a piece of carrot that they have when you leave the room. So try and keep it as nice and friendly as you can with them as well. So nothing too harsh, like, right, that's it, I'm going to go out the house for half an hour and then I'm coming back. Literally, to start with the room that you're in. And, it might even be that you get up and fiddle with something at the back of the TV, or, go and fiddle with something in the corner of the room. Take your mobile, take something, anything. You can just be literally holding your hand like this and fiddling with your thumbs, but you're not paying them attention. It's just about that breaking the attention to start with. So independence training comes first and then separation comes after. So try not to put too much pressure on yourselves. It does come naturally eventually, and it just takes time just to almost like break that really close bond with everybody. So are you happy today if we look at recall, or did you have anything else that you wanted to look at?
No, recall's fine for me. What about you? Anything that's not working this week?
No, it's just stuff's going to take time. That's all, really, isn't it? Persevering.
Recall works.
So we'll do a few different methods of recall, so that you have like if one fails, then you can at least go for a different type of recall. So recall in itself is asking your dog to come back to them and then returning to you. Now, what we have to remember is that dachshunds are hounds, and sometimes what happens around them is more interesting for their nose than what we are. They often find that when when they are like out, so imagine they're off lead and they're in a enclosed field which has got a hedge around it, and they're really enjoying themselves, sniffing the hedgerow, and you call them over and you clip them on the lead and you walk off with them. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, this is really cool. The next time that you're there, and the next time you take them off their lead and they're enjoying themselves over at that hedge and you call them, they go, you stopped my fun last time, I'm not coming back, you can come and get me.
Yeah.
And then what happens is we end up in the game of chase. So we end up chasing our dogs. They end up going, wow, this is fantastic. Mum and Dad are chasing us. I'm going to play this game again. It's absolutely fantastic. So top things around recall. When we're recalling our dogs, don't always clip them on and take them home. Okay, because that immediately says to them, my funny's going to stop and we're going to be in that scary metal box of a car. Okay, so I'm going to change my screen over. Give me 1 second. Let me just find the right one.
This is probably the biggest challenge in the gardens. There's a few back gardens here with the terrace bit that they go strolling around each of them, and there's one that
but they do come back and call them.
Eventually, when particularly Lola, when she's finished sniffing.
Yeah, and what I would say is, I mean, the best investment that you can have for recall is a long line, so that they can't actually go too far away from you. So when they do decide that you're not interested enough and they're going to go for something else, at least they are attached.
Yeah.
So with recall, so some safety stuff. And the reason I go through the safety stuff is actually because you're not always going to be made aware of it. Okay, so harnesses, if they're on a long line, are always recommended, just because they're lighter and there's more of a weight distribution on a long line and a harness rather than around the throat. You can also leave their usual lead attached to them as well, so they can always have that around the collar as well, and always clip them on first before you clip off. So if you're using a long line and their lead, clip the long line on before you take them off their normal lead. And what you're doing there is just literally safety measures. So if you unclip and they bolt off, they're not going to be attached to anything. But if you clip on before you clip off, then at least they're attached to something. Don't grab them and don't chase them. Okay, so grabbing and chasing. So grabbing, you've become unpredictable to them. So you spent all this time getting their bond really nice with you, and you're moving really slowly and being very predictable. And then suddenly you're like, grab hold of you, and then you become unsafe to them, and then they don't want to return to you. Okay, so first things first, we need to choose a cue word. So I use chip come, but it could be anything. It could be come, it could be here, it could be a whistle, it could be a sound, whatever you want it to be. Have you got any preference?
I tend to say come here. Don't we?
Okay, so
the name and then come here.
Yeah. So name and then come here.
Mm.
Okay, fine. So we're gonna start practicing. So you're gonna have some treats with you. It says 10 treats on my screen. We're not going to do 10. You might do 5 each.
Got some still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a little bit of distance, so a few feet between you. If you've got enough space to do a few feet. If you've only got a space to do a tiny amount, then we'll just do a tiny amount.
Yeah.
And you're literally going to call one dog to you, and then as soon as they get to you, we're going to get them nice and close, and we're going to give them a reward. So it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, your turn, because they're over here.
Lola, come here. Oh, Olive, come here.
So it may be that we do one dog at a time. So it might be that we just hold on to one dog and recall the other dog to us.
Olive, come here. Oh, right, I'm going to go over here.
Think how close are you going to need your pup to you to actually clip them onto their lead?
Yeah.
And that's where you should be rewarding from. Okay, so we don't want to be leaning forwards into them. We want them to be coming to as close to our legs as we can get them.
Come here. Good girl. Good girl.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is we're just building that trust up.
Come here. Come here. Good girls. Good girl.
Do you see that slight reluctance there?
Yeah.
And that was potentially because you leaned over. So she was probably thinking, oh, I'm not sure if I want to come in that close to you.
Olive, come here. Come here. Olive, come here. Olive, come here. Good girl. Well done. So I think she thinks she's missing out, I think, with come here. Good girl. Well done.
Okay, so this time when she comes in nice and close to you, I want you to do a collar hold and reward at the same time.
Okay. Oh, come here. Come here. Good girl. See, well done.
Perfect.
Right.
Okay. It's just practicing. You're just practicing. So in real life, it's likely she's going to come over to you and you're not grabbing, you're just taking hold of a collar, holding on to her before you then clip her on.
Good girl.
Okay. Should we swap dogs?
Yep. Are you there, Jan? You go on, have a bash.
Introducing her to herself in the mirror.
Ah.
See what she thinks.
Keep this one out of the way.
Yes, go right away. As in, yes, right away. Come on then. Oh, let's see. Right, you going to stand there? Right, I'll go here then. You now got the treats, don't you?
That's okay. If she's coming to you, just call her to you from that distance. It's fine.
Come.
Nice.
Shall I go over there? You going over there? Come on then. Go over here. Lola, come. Lola, come. No? Thinking, where's Olive now, aren't you? Lola, come. There you go. Good girl.
Nice, much nicer. So this time you're going to do the collar hold and reward.
Okay, right. Lola, come. Come, good girl. Good girl. Yes. Yes, clever girl. She's not liking this bit.
She's not liking that bit, or she is?
She is, yes.
She is.
I'm getting
Good
food.
stuff.
Lola, come. Good girl.
Nice.
Yes. She goes under there.
And the reason that we're doing for that collar hold is because you're going to want to be clipping on. Okay. So it's likely that that's going to be a normal for you and a normal for your pups as well. This time, what I want you to do is get her really nice and close, up close to your leg, and then get her into a sit and then reward. Okay. So we're asking for a little bit more on the end, or if you want to, you can do a hand touch. Okay. So open hand, get her to come to you and then just touch.
Lola, Lola. Sit. No, touch. Good girl. That was a good one. And
That's really nice.
And a sit. Good girl. Well done. You're just following me around now, aren't you?
She's like, yeah, I know you've got treats.
Lola, come on. Lola, come. Lola. No, I'm not coming there.
Put your hand down at the side of you, just an open hand, as if you were going to do a touch down at the side of your leg.
Lola, come. Good girl. Yes, well done.
Was that open hand for a touch?
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
Come on.
And then that gives you the opportunity then, if she's doing a hand touch, with your other hand, you can then come in and do the...
Sit as well. Sit. No, we're not having a sit. We'll have a touch.
Maybe not pushing too much.
Good girl.
Okay, happy with that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so now what I want you to do is, if you want to keep the same dogs, you can do. If you want to swap dogs, you can do. It's up to you.
I don't mind. Do you want to swap dogs?
Go on, give her another bash.
Are you carrying on?
That looks like it.
Okay, that's fine. So what I want you to do this side, is that a sofa at the side of you, the red?
Go on, yes.
Yeah, okay. So what I want you to do is, now she's not looking, so she's not looking at you at all. I want you to just go and stand behind the sofa and call her.
Lola. Lola. Lola.
So use your recall cue.
Lola, come here. Lola, come. Good girl. Touch. Yep. Good girl.
And what we're doing there is we're just creating that distance in between. So like at the minute, so for the last kind of 5 or 6 recourse you did, they were quite close proximity. And then what I wanted to do is just add the sofa in, because it adds a bit of distraction, but B, she also can't see your legs and can't see your hand. Okay, so we're really teaching her what that cue means.
Lola, come here. Lola, come. Good.
There she comes, much nicer.
Yes, and a sit. Do you want to do a touch as well? Yes, good girl.
Nice moves there. Okay, one more.
Lola, come here. Good girl. Yes. I'm going to have a touch or a sit. Touch, sit. No, just sit.
So to get her into the sit, it might be that you just lift there you go. Lift the treat up. That's the one. Okay, happy with that?
Yeah.
That is the basis of recall. Okay, so what you can do is you can practice room to room, you can practice inside to outside, outside to inside, and we can make it a little bit more fun as well. Okay, so what I'm going to get you to do is, if we can we'll use Olive, just because she's had a couple of minutes resting while Lola's been practicing. And what we're going to do with the treat, so if you can pick in your head 3 points in your living room. So I mean, for me, what I can see is where the screen is here, where I am, the brown chair over there, and then the corner of the sofa that side. Yeah. So you've got 3 distinct places. And what I want you to do is drop a treat at the first place. While she's eating it, I want you to move to the second place. When she looks up at you, that's when you're going to call her to you. And then you're going to drop another treat on the floor, move to the next place. You're going to have to be quite fast because they're quite fast, or take much bigger steps.
Yeah.
Okay. If they follow you, then just recall them. Okay, because they are doing what you want them to do, but they're just attached to you.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready? And try not to trip over as well.
Come here. Come here. Come here.
So wait till she looks up.
Come here. Oh no, yeah, I didn't say the name.
Drop it on the floor.
Right. Olive, come here. Good girl. Olive, come here. Olive, come here. That's it. Good girl. Olive, come here. Come here.
Nice.
Good girl.
She's like, in my own time.
Olive, come
These
here.
treats are coming quicker than I can eat them.
Sit. Good girl. Well done. Olive, come here. Sit. Good girl. Well done.
Okay.
Olive, come here. Sit. Good girl. Well done.
Okay, you're adding your sit, and you've added your sit, and you've taken away the treat on the floor.
I have, haven't I? Yeah. You need to train me more.
That's okay. That's okay. We will do. So when she comes to you, you're going to drop the treat on the floor.
Come here. Come here. Come here. Olive, come here. Good girl.
She's sitting on her own now, look.
Olive, come here. Good girl.
Really nice. Okay, last one.
Oops. Wow.
Oh, if you've run out, then that's fine. We'll just stop there then.
Come here. Come, Olive, come here. Good girl. Good girl, Olive. Olive, come here. Come here. Good girl. That's it. That's it.
That's it. Good
Girl.
stuff.
Oh, God.
Good girl.
So that's just about adding in some distraction. Okay, so adding in the fact that the treat isn't coming from your hand, but you're still recalling. Okay, so you can play that game out and about. You can play it in the park, you can play it in the field, you can play it in your garden, and you don't have to have physical items. You can just have, I don't know, a patio with a fence and a wall, whatever you've got in your garden. I know they can like go through the gardens, but keeping them on the long lines, what that will encourage is that you're able to be in control of that recall as well. So if they don't come back, you could just literally wait them out, but they can't carry on going. So sometimes our dogs do get spooked, And sometimes they do take off at 100 miles an hour, and it's just about having that reassurance and that level of confidence that they're not going to start doing that. Okay, they will do. I guarantee you they will do when they're around about 6 months, and up until anywhere in between 18 months. So between 6 and 18 months, they can go through a second fear stage where independence kicks in. Things that weren't scary before are suddenly scary. So it's always advisable to have that long line to hand until you are really confident that they are going to keep returning to you. And look for around about like 90%. So 9 out of 10 times that they'll come back to you every time you ask. Okay. And the reason that we say that is because we all have off days, certainly our dogs, and they are hounds. So sometimes something is going to be super, super, super smelly to them, and they're going to go, yeah, this is great. I want to go and find it.
Yeah.
Okay. Jan, do you want to have a go with treat triangles with?
Come on, Luna.
You come and have a sit down here. Yeah, we realise that Lola's now 6 months as well. They've grown up quite quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are we going to sit? Right. Lola, come here.
And they're doing really well. I mean, age appropriate wise, they're doing everything that I would expect a 6 month old to be doing.
Lola, come here.
No, Olive, you're not.
Good girl.
I think with the two of them, one of the things we do find a bit of a challenge is that they're into everything at the moment and jumping all over the place and falling around. They're a bit of fighting, but it's watching they don't get too carried away.
Yeah, and I'd also be mindful because they are siblings, that having them quite so close, and it's all about having them independent as well, like creating independence. And that's why I'm doing this bit separately, so we've not got both of them charging around.
She's got this one sorted out.
Yeah, she's got this one.
She's quite happy with this.
We'll do the last one for this one, and then I'll show you how to do another one, Jan.
That's it.
Okay, so the next one we're going to do, so if you just stay standing for me, and you're going to need 3 treats in your hand.
Yep.
Okay, so you're going to have 1 treat in one hand, and that's going to be the hand that you're going to be throwing with. So what you're going to do is you're going to throw, which hand have you got the treat in? Your right hand. Okay, so what you're going to do, you're going to throw that treat out to the right hand side, so towards the radiator. Let Lola go and get it. When she looks up at you, you're going to say yes, and then you're going to drop a treat at your feet. So for this one, you're not going to be moving anywhere. You're going to drop the treat at your feet, and then you're going to wait for her to look up, and then you're going to throw the treat out to the opposite side.
Lola. Hello. Hello.
And this is a kind of a fast and furious game. So we're looking to get her legs moving a little bit. There she goes. As soon as she looks up.
Oh, good one.
Drop a treat at your feet.
Oh, at my feet.
Yeah, so it's out to the side, then at your feet, then out to the opposite side.
By your feet. You feel like you're missing out.
Okay, and what we're doing here is we're just getting her to go out, follow a distraction, and come back into us. So she can go and get it, that's fine, but she comes back into us after each time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a nice, easy one. Do you want to swap over?
Yeah.
Right, come on. Okay.
You little sausage. You're still munching that? Yes.
Right. Oh, you're ready. You see, you know how to do this. Right, ready? Good girl.
She's gone to lay on a bed.
Go on. Good girl. That's it.
And if you want to add the recall into this, you can do. So when you throw the treat out, and when you drop that treat on the floor, as soon as they start heading back, Olive, come. Or Olive, come here.
Olive, come here. Good girl.
Yeah. And then out to the side again. And then drop it at your feet.
Olive, come here. Good girl.
Much nicer. So there's a bit more of a smooth transition going off there. And there's a bit more excitement going off as well. It should be exciting. It should be fun to come back to you.
Olive, come here.
Okay, happy with that one?
Yeah, she likes the food.
Yeah, I'm conscious that it is treat after treat for that one. Okay, so how was that for you?
That's good. I like the idea. If we try it outside, get a bit more space.
You could do it in the park or something.
Yes. Yeah. Try it in the park there.
When they're on the knees.
Yeah.
And it's good to do room to room as well. So it may be that they're on their beds and you're in the kitchen and you call them into the kitchen to you. You give them a reward and let them go again. It may be the other way around. They're in the kitchen, you're not in the kitchen. I don't know why I always use the kitchen. I have no idea why. But it can be any room. So it could be your office, out of your office. It could be that you're in the bathroom, that you call them to the bathroom, they get a reward, you send them away again. And what you're doing is it's about you not just being on demand all the time. Okay, so it's about you calling them to you. And with recall, it is that they come to you, otherwise it's a wait because you're going to them. Okay.
Yeah.
So other top things around recall. So if we crouch down and put our arms out to the side, we look like we're further away to our dogs because they don't realize that we're just crouched down. They think that we've shrunk or we're further away than what we are.
Right.
Okay. So crouching down, arms out to the side. Lola, come here. Nice. Obviously, I appreciate, Bernie, it's going to be more difficult for you to do a higher pitched voice, but it may be that you have a different tone to your voice, because if you think about it, when they are heading towards something that you don't want them to go towards, i.e. a road or something similar, your voice isn't going to be as calm and collected as what it's been tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
So having a practice around the house doing that is always worthwhile. So when they're outside, you know they've been to the toilet, great time to recall them back into you. They get a treat when they come back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Or they get a little fuss or whatever it is. Okay, make sense?
Yeah, and I think that's helped this week as well. We've been making a lot more fuss over things like that, just going to the toilet outside, and that's helped massively.
Yeah, and it's all about that praise. So talking about the rewards and things like that. So now they're at an age where they're able to do sit, they're able to do things without the treats. So now think about putting the treats away so they're not always in your hand ready to deliver them. Okay, so having them in a pocket, having them in a pot which is nearby, having them in a little bum bag or treat pouch, whatever you want to call it, and only giving them treats every so often. Okay, so when I'm talking about treats, I'm talking about the stuff that's on top of their diet. Okay, so we mentioned around food first of all, but thinking about the treats that you want them to have. So if you know that they can do a sit and they can sit outside, then it may be that you drop the treat outside. Okay, so maybe that you ask for the sit and then you just say, yes, well done, good girl, let's go, let's cross the road. Okay, so they've had verbal praise from you rather than having a food reward. Okay, so there's no...
I'm a bit conscious about giving treats, food treats all the time. Just fuss.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I would say is...
Bit of a talker.
Yeah, so while they're learning, sorry, I didn't mean to say yeah, I wasn't agreeing with you there. When they're learning, their treats are there to help them learn. Okay, so there's lots of different studies, but in essence, that if they predict that food is coming, then they're more likely to do the behavior because they then realize that there's a nice reward at the end of it. Okay, so it's a bit like us. If there's a motivator there for us to do something, we'll do it, and that's what the food rewards are. Now, I still use treats now, but I take that maybe 4 or 5 treats out with me on a walk. Okay, and our walk could be an hour and a half, 2 hours long, but I've still got some treats left by the time we come home. Okay, so
we don't use a massive amount when we're walking now, do we? If you think about it, it's mostly because even when they stop at the curb, they're just stopping, and they'll stop when you tell them to.
Yeah.
And then
so when you don't tell them to.
Oh, yeah, and
Hello.
so we're not using so many when we go out. I think it's mostly around here, isn't it? And just the garden, really.
Yeah, and I would just literally just minimize them right down. So when they're doing something well, just tell them they're doing something well, because they're able to understand when they're doing something well and when you're happy with them, and almost like celebrate with them. So have, like, when they go to the toilet and they're having a pee outside, have a pee party or a poo party with them, so that they really understand, yeah, I've done the right thing. But, you know, mum and dad want me to do this. This is what they want me to do, and I get great praise from it.
Yeah.
And often dogs, especially younger dogs, are much more amenable to having praise rewards as well.
Yeah.
Because they do want to please us, not quite in the same way that a Labrador would, but they do want to please us.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're reducing their treats down, so if you're using a treat to get them to sit, it might be that every 4th sit that they actually get a treat.
Yeah.
But the rest of the time they just get praise. And then you might do every 5th sit. Try and make it as unpredictable as possible. And the reason we want it unpredictable is because we don't want them realizing that they only have to sit on the 4th time you ask.
Yeah.
Because they are smart and they will do that. So every time they get praise, but not every time they get a food reward. Okay? Happy with that? So have a little practice just doing a sit with them. But maybe that you just do the watch. So just do a watch and a sit. You can stay sitting down, you don't have to stand up.
Yeah, well, true. Come here. Olive, come here. Olive looks tired already.
She's like, I'm done.
No. Come sit. Come sit. No. Lola, are you coming?
She says, I'm sitting.
Says I'm sitting. What are you talking about? Are you crazy?
They're just looking at us confused.
I think they're both they both look like they're done.
Oh. No. You are sat. Good girl. Get this. Oh no.
I'm lazy sitting.
Yeah, she has lazy sits. Good girl.
And you know, sometimes our dogs do have lazy sitting. It's just what's more comfortable.
Yeah.
So sometimes dogs do sit on the side, and that's fine as well. Sometimes it is just more comfortable.
Yeah. Come on,
Like feet hanging out the wrong side.
yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
And especially when they're growing as well, because obviously their hips aren't fully developed and things yet. So it can just be preference as to what they're more comfortable doing.
That's it. Go.
Okay, I'm not going to push either of the dogs anymore because I can see that they're both like, we've done a little bit of recall and that's it. We're quite happy now.
Yeah.
As Lola's just turned into a donut dog.
Okay. It's amazing how all of a sudden we took them out yesterday for about 2 hours, and after about an hour and a half, they visibly slowed down, and it was like, yeah, I think they were glad to get home.
Yeah. And we need to be conscious of like how far we're walking them at this age as well, because they're still not fully developed. So that the chances if we overwalk to have like bone issues in later life, so feet turning out and shoulders not in the right places and stuff, it's likely if we overwalk at a young age.
I think it was quite nice yesterday in the end.
Yeah. It's been lovely today as well, hasn't it? It's been nice and sunny.
Yeah, they're about 20 minutes out for a walk earlier. They were quite happy, got back. That was it.
Yeah, and what you'll find is that when you're engaging their brains and they're having to think what they've got to do, they'll get more tired as well.
Yeah.
I think this collar's getting a bit small, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, this collar's all right. Yeah.
Okay. Have you got any other questions that you want to ask?
No, I think I can't think of anything at the moment. I think it's just practicing that really. I like the recall ones.
It'd be nice if we could get the barking one sorted, but at some stage.
The barking on the walks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they I mean today.
I don't know how long that takes.
With the barking on the walks, it's literally going to be about the exposure that they have. So if they're exposed,
the more that we go on the walks, the more dogs they meet, they'll be better or get used to other dogs. Do you think?
Quite the opposite.
Oh,
yeah.
So the less they get opportunities to actually meet, the more they will want to focus on you. Okay, so when we're looking at socialization, it doesn't necessarily mean about meeting and greeting other dogs. And I would only look to meet and greet every like 4th or 5th dog. So 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5 dogs. And the reason being is that if we let them meet every single dog that we come across, then that will be their expectation, that then when they see a dog, they'll be like, oh yeah, I want to go and see that dog. And then they realize that they're on a lead, and then they get really frustrated, and then you will see frustrated barking, because they want to get to that dog, because they want to go and meet and greet. Whereas it might be a really snarly dog that you don't want them to go up to, but they really want to get over to it. So socialization is about like seeing the other dog, but being able to focus on you still as well. So that's why I've been doing a lot of the focus work with you guys, to get their eye contact, to crouch down with them as and where you can, to collar hold, to reduce that level down. And if you can cross the roads using cars and other means, then do that.
Yeah, I've been crossing over the road quite a bit more. I mean, like in the park, when I took them out early in the park, there was only 2 dogs they barked at, and there was loads out today.
Yeah.
It's like small toddlers, small children.
Well, traumatized.
I don't know who's more unpredictable, them or the toddler.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a primary school anywhere near you?
No, not really.
Not immediately.
No.
I mean, these are little tots, 1, 2 walking. They go absolutely bonkers at them, and you think, oh, poor things. You don't want to traumatise these poor babies.
We keep them on a short lead when we're going around there, and we know that there's other dogs around or little kids. But like I say, the weird thing is yesterday, well, we took them out twice, early yesterday morning for a very brief walk into the market, and they just barked at everything. Didn't matter what it was. And then the afternoon when we went out, they weren't too bad, were they? They were all right, and that today they weren't. So it feels quite unpredictable, but I guess we just keep practicing with them.
Okay, so there's going to be a few things that are going off with them. So age-wise, so they're both going to come into season relatively soon, and there could be quite a lot of hormones going off in their bodies as well. Yeah. We're going to have the tail end of teething is going to kick in soon. So those back teeth are really going to start coming through very shortly, I would imagine. So any element of pain, so anything that they see, so if they see a little toddler and they're in pain with their teeth, then they won't realize that it's their teeth causing that. They will think it's the toddler that's caused it. Okay. So thinking as from their point of view, that there's also the second fear stage that they could potentially be going into. And so they've got a lot of things that are all kind of going off at once. So it's much easier to stay on the sidelines and introduce them really slowly into things. So it may just be that you stand at the corner of the park, or you stand on the outskirts of the park, and when they're calm, so when they are not barking, that's when they get the reward. So before they start barking, that's when they get the rewards, not for barking and then getting a reward. Okay, so if you're lingering around the outside of the park and they can see what's going off, but they're not barking, yes, good girls, there you go, you get a little treat there. Okay, so you are going to probably need treats when you're out and about, the high value stuff, so tiny little bits of cheese, so you can keep their focus on you, so that you can help them understand what it is, what their expectation is when they're out on that walk with you.
Okay, yeah.
They both look like they're completely done.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, when I came back earlier, they had a good sleep, so I thought they'd be fine. It's weird they'll do this, and we'll take them out again later. Found that if we take them out in the evening, they tend to sleep a little bit better.
Yeah, and a lot of that will be to do with if they can't see properly, they're using their noses to guide them a little bit more as well. So they'll be inhaling a lot more.
Yeah.
Than what they will in the daytime. Bless her.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just zonked. That's it.
Okay. I'm just trying to think. Are we session 6 today?
No, I think I've got one more because I couldn't get it in, and I think it's about 2 weeks' time.
Okay. So okay, that's fine.
It's time to practice a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have any questions in the meantime, give me a shout.
Yeah.
I'll send over the recording to you, so you've got that.
Yeah.
And I'll send over the recall. There's a little short video for recall as well, just to remind you about the treat triangles. But yeah, by all means, I mean, reduce your treats down. Use their food for treats instead of actually treats is always a good option. and yeah, if you're not happy with like weight gain and stuff, then again, just have a look at different foods. I know you mentioned that the breeder had like they're on the food that the breeder came with, they came with from the breeder. Get my words out. But like I say, not every food suits every dog. I mean, we've probably been through about, I don't know, probably nearer towards double figures of food brands and stuff over 4 years, just to try and find ones that actually really suit. So it's a bit like anything really, not one size fits all.
So is that just dry food, or do you feed other stuff as well?
So I feed a combination of both. I feed dry and wet.
Okay.
We tend to use the wet food on like lick mats and kongs, and then we use the dry food to scatter feed, hand feed, and then we have additional like treats on top. Most of the treats that we use are natural treats, so like dried chicken or liver cake, or I say liver cake, it's not exactly natural, but you know what I mean, it's homemade, or sprats, which are quite popular because they're quite stinky. But yeah, and yeah, like I say, we're probably towards sort of double figures of trial and testing foods, but it's just finding what suits, and not every food suits. And the manufacturers can change the food at any point as well, so they don't have to tell you, they don't have to inform you that they've changed what's in it. So if it says like meat derivatives on it, then they can change that at any point for whatever they deem fit as a meat derivative.
Yeah.
We used to use Lily's Kitchen all the time, but that got taken over by Purina. Purina is part of Nestle.
Yeah.
And the recipes have changed massively, similar to Royal Canin. So Royal Canin's owned by Mars. So the big players of the industries are Mars and Nestle, and you'd be surprised at where most of the food comes from. So it's just about doing your research and finding, you know, where it's come from. And that's one of the reasons, because we started originally on pedigree, then we moved from, well, she came on pedigree, which I was quite disheartened about, and then we moved her on to Royal Canin because I'd had experience working in the vets with Royal Canin, and I was like, yeah, that's good food. And then when I started looking into it, I was like, actually, I'm not sure this is the right food for her. And just like digestive things as well, like, you know, she was having really big poos, and I was thinking, actually, I'm not sure this is quite right. And then we moved her off that, and we tried Harringtons, we tried collards, so we kind of went more of a grain-free type option, and then we found Lily's. So we stuck on Lily's for quite a while, and then we've recently moved over onto the Dachshund Superfood. We've trialed Sausage Dog Sanctuary food as well. It's a very nice food, it's very good food, it's very nutritious food, it just doesn't suit my dog. And there's nothing wrong with it, and that's why I've kind of stepped away from the bigger brands and gone for the more local foods, as in like the smaller companies, because they are producing the food, and sometimes it's the same food or very similar food, just with a different label on. So it's called white labeling, where a food manufacturer will put out the same food, so they're not Mars or Nestle, but there'll be a similar food within the packets.
Yeah.
So things like Orion, I think Orion, something similar, Fourth Glade, they're all very much of the same brands. They're just packaging. But yes.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed today. It looks like the dogs have. They're fast asleep.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions in the meantime, give me a shout. And I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks' time and hearing your progress. If you send me some videos over, so I can keep
more video this time, yeah, a bit more. Keep
tabs on what's happening. If you've got some long lines as well, there was the one thing that I didn't actually mention. On a long line, if you put knots in it, so if you've got, say, a 10-meter long line, and each meter you put a knot in it, you know exactly how far away from you they are, and just recall them back periodically, so you know how far away they can get, and they can still listen to you, and keep bringing them back in. Okay, bring them back in and let them go again. You don't need to reward them. You can just bring them back in, send them off away again.
Yeah.
Okay, so that element.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot.
No worries. No problem. I'll see you in a couple of weeks' time then.
Okay.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now. Bye.